Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan Sales Meeting for Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. My name is Michael Rapaski. I'll be your host and master of ceremonies for this morning's festivities as we do a recap of some of the exciting things that are happening in and around our market centers, some of the great training that we have coming up. We're going to hear from some of our amazing and talented partners with some up-to-the-minute information about how their business impacts your business. And then I'm very excited for a little panel interview action that we have this morning with three individuals who experienced some tremendous growth in their business in 2021. And we thought, what better time to share that out than here within the first 2 weeks of 2022 so that you can take what they did so well, apply it to your business, and make it happen. All right. So first things first, Bold continues to fill up. Next Wednesday is our first launch. And if you're sitting here thinking that there's plenty of time or there's plenty of room on this starboard to get yourself in, I gotta tell you that we will sell out and there will be people left out in the cold. And I know several of you that I've spoke with and several of you that spoke with other members of our leadership team are going to get around to it. I'm going to sign up. Oh yeah, I gotta take care of that. And guess what? We're 8 days out. This is a can't miss opportunity. When you look at the group that is just on this board right here, the group that you're looking at is well over 30 to $40 million in sales just with that group. So if you're like, hey, I love the idea of being a $3, $4, $5 million producer. I love what when you hear what you're going to hear from Jason, Linzie, and Scott, all Bold graduates. When you hear from them this later on this morning and you're like, yeah, that's me, I should be doing that. Let's get you signed up. Let's make it happen. If you have even an inkling of interest, you need to have a phone conversation with me. Bold is going to be a blast and it starts next Wednesday. All right. As we start each and every week, we want to talk about our mission and how that applies to what we're doing today or what we're doing this week. And our mission remains to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. And we're going to hear from some folks today, as I mentioned, who have really nailed the first two in 2021. And we're going to talk about how that sort of cascades into the other three. Whether you like it or not, it's hard to argue that you need to have the first two to have the last three, or at least, they certainly make the last three a lot easier. And so we want to help you with the first two, facilitate the last three. Very excited that this is our mission and this is a guiding light for us as we build our calendars, have our conversations, and think about really what are we doing next to take our agents and their businesses to the next level. And then, in case you missed it, our organization, much like your organization, loves to grow. We love talent, and December brought in quite a harvest of talent as we had more than a dozen agents join our company in the month from other brokerages and straight out of real estate school. And these are individuals who have hit the ground running, who have joined teams in our office, who have leaned into productivity coaches, and who will be regular faces around the office in a big way. So we're very excited that they're gonna start their journey with us. They're gonna grow their business with us, and they're gonna maximize their lives with us. So please pop in the chat, welcome them, give them some love, and be there for them when they need your help. All right, upcoming training, we have a huge month of training in January, and February will be no different. But for the month of January, We've got a lot of really great stuff that is having a big impact on the start of the year. If you haven't been participating in Ignite, if you haven't had the opportunity to make it into one of those sessions, that's okay. Everything has been recorded, right? And there are 2 more sessions remaining, really good ones. Larry Wonky of the Larry Wonky team will be leading a conversation on seller appointments tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And then something that we ought to prepare to do a lot of, because the market is going to be wild again in the spring, but negotiating the deal. And few people do it better or with more panache than Chris Chase. And so we're very excited that he's going to bring it home from the Ignite standpoint. And don't forget, our Your First Deal series has moved into the 6 p.m. hour to support those of you who are getting kids on the bus in the morning, or maybe working your part-time or full-time job, and you can't make these in the middle of the afternoon or in the morning. So this has been great. And guys, even though it says Your First Deal, make no mistake, if you've done a few deals, this is going to be great for you. If you've done 10 deals, this is probably still worth your time to get the latest and greatest from a nuance, from a title, an America's Preferred Home Warranty. And then, of course, you can always dial back into the YouTube page and pick up Cross Country Mortgages recording from last week. And again, here's the Ignite schedule. Big push on the idea that if you haven't made it to any of these, you can make it to some of these and you can catch up. I had to tell you, yesterday's session with Art Obleton, I was scribbling notes the whole time. If you have been in this business for a day, or a year and a day, or 5,000 days, you are going to take something away from that session yesterday on how to go get more listings. It is very thoughtful, very strategic, and very, very impactful. And you can find all of that in our YouTube channel. If you've never been to our YouTube channel before, please go ahead and pull out your phone right now, point it at your screen, and click that QR code so that you can be taken there. Tag it, bookmark it, and make sure that you have notifications turned on so that every time we add a new training, you get to know. If you're not there, that's okay. You can watch it or listen to it at a time of your convenience. All right, and then as we move into next week, the office will be closed on Monday, January 17th, throughout the day. But we're going to unlock the doors a little bit in the evening for our real estate career night. So if you know anybody, and I know you do, if you know anybody who is interested in a career in real estate, who is currently in real estate school, who's currently licensed and at another brokerage, then by all means, make sure that they are with us. Make sure that they're with us this coming Monday evening, so that we have the opportunity to tell them a little bit more about what life looks like at Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. Now, for you West Siders, you might be looking at this saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" Don't worry, it is also via Zoom. And we'll be coming to you in the very warm and sunny month of February on the West Side. But don't delay getting people in conversation. If you've got somebody that you would just love to learn more about a career in real estate, please, if they can't make it on a Monday night, or they can't pop on Zoom, or they don't want to wait till February, please don't hesitate to just connect them with me. There's nothing I love more than having the conversation with new and experienced agents about what we do here and what makes our organization special. And so I'll take that opportunity in a big group setting like a career night, or one-on-one any day of the week. And then with only a few seats left, I cannot stress this enough, guys. We have a tremendous and what is going to be a very impactful training right on time. At the end of January, Pat Barman is going to be walking us through his expert buyer intake. Now, in the market we're in, there will be There will be a lot of houses coming on the market. Interest rates are expected to stay fairly low. I'm going to have Sean and Don fact check me on that. But that means that you're going to find a lot of buyers. There are going to be buyers coming out of the woodwork here in March and April. And if you do not have a system to bring those buyers in, evaluate, pre-qualify, pass off to a mortgage partner, make sure that you understand where they want to be, why they want to be there, how soon they want to be there, and then you can power rank your buyers so that you can manage not just one buyer and hope they buy, but a dozen, and know who's going to buy when and how to help each of them in the way that they need help. That's what Pat does. That's what has allowed Pat to go from joining our company in the early days of the pandemic to being one of our top individual agents last year. And he's a great instructor, a great individual. And if you can get in the room, because there are limited seats, get in the room. It is going to be huge. And then finally, we're going to hear more and more about this. Family Reunion 2022 is back and in person, Orlando, Florida. I know that late to mid-February is always the best time of year to really soak up the postcard-like weather here in Northeast Ohio. But if you were looking for a change of pace, you might find it in Orlando, Florida, with roughly 20,000 of additional Keller Williams agents, and have the opportunity for the largest real estate event every year, not just in Keller Williams, but all across the real estate industry. And it's not just a party, guys. That is some of the best training and education. You know, the way that we build our training calendar is the same way that Keller Williams Realty International does it. They identify top agents, they figure out what they're really good at, and they ask them to teach. And so, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of education and training and masterminds and panels and opportunities to network for referrals and accountability partners across the country, across the world, really. Keller Williams is in 55 countries, and I believe opening in the Netherlands soon. So very, very cool stuff. We will, like I said, you'll be hearing a lot more about this and the online option. So if you have questions, if you've been before, go again. If you haven't been before and you want to know more, let me know. All right, guys, that was a lot of me talking. As you all know, that is sometimes the hardest part of the meeting. And now I just have to figure out how to stop sharing my screen, because I am going to show you that now. But anyway, we will bring up Mr. Sean Hadley and Don Jarecki from Cross Country Mortgage. Gentlemen, how goes it? Are we here? Can anybody hear me?
Sorry about that. Forgot to hit the unmute button.
Oh my, you know what? I get it. We're just now getting this Zoom thing going, and there's a lot for all of us to learn.
I figured if I just scream loud enough, it'll echo over to your place. So interest rates, a little update. I just put in the chat box a little grid of where interest rates are over the last 12 months. And don't feel like you have to jump into it now, but the focus is really on the last 3 weeks. The black line in the little graph I posted is the Mortgage News Daily kind of survey rate. It's kind of an impartial third party. You know, it's not a marketing webpage. It's not a bank. It's not a lender. They just do surveys nationwide as far as where average interest rates are. And if you haven't noticed, it's about 3/8, almost 0.5% higher than we were just 3 weeks ago. So rates are up. Reason being, mid-December, the thought was, you know what, inflation's getting almost out of control. The Fed's going to need to do something. So the Fed's going to probably raise interest rates 3 times in 2022, starting in May. That was where we were kind of thinking about 3 or 4 weeks ago. As of this week, new predictions are possibly 4 bumps to the Federal Reserve funds rate, and that may start as early as March. So that kind of immediate sort of expectation is pushing rates up. Now, this is a good thing in the end. You know, these rate bumps are going to hopefully plateau and decrease inflation, which of course is good and will kind of bring interest rates back into a little bit of a steady, stable mode, we hope. So that's kind of what's going on. So rates are going up. Talking to a lot of buyers, we're in constant communication with our pre-approved buyers and new buyers, so they know what to expect, but just be aware of what's happening. So the takeaway is, yes, rates are jumping up, and we don't know if they're going to continue or kind of stabilize here, but if you're a buyer, you're on the fence, you're under contract, it's a good time to get things locked up, just so you know where your rate is today versus tomorrow. But any questions on that? Nope. And Chris Bullock, I'm going to have him jump in here next for the second half of our little chat today. Chris sits in the Pepper Pike office on the third floor behind this black door behind me. So between him, myself, Don, and of course, Carmen, always feel free to reach out. But Chris, go ahead.
Thanks, John. Just kind of a quick update on second homes. Not a whole lot of buyers out there going to be super affected by this, but the ones that are, this is, pretty good information for them. Just to clarify, second home, kind of like a vacation home, not a primary residence, not an investment property. The Federal Housing Finance Agency announced some loan level pricing increases that are going to be coming here in the next month. What that means for interest rates is you're going to see these property distinction second homes increasing the rates. For buyers in the market, they're going to realistically be looking at putting more down to avoid paying these higher rates. So it's going to be more in line with what we're seeing with investment properties, probably needing to put 20 to 25% down to make sense in the purchase. But not a ton of people affected, but just some good knowledge to have. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Looks like Carmen's going to go from being a rose between two thorns to a rose between three. How about that? Guys, thanks for everything as always. And if anybody needs anything, these are your guys on the mortgage front. All right. Next, we're going to throw it over to Jade Tishka with Greater Metropolitan Title and Escrow. Everyone always.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to go over water sewer bills. I don't know if many of you know exactly how it works, but I am going to go over that today because we have been getting a lot of questions. So as you guys typically know, we typically hold money for the final water sewer. That amount's usually $200. And in order to get that money back, what the sellers have to do is they have to send us the final bill. Now, in order to refund them their money, it does have to say final bill on that. Without that, that kind of indicates that there is another bill that's going to be due. And we just want to make sure that that is paid and it is not left with the buyers. Let's say that there is in the contract, there is no hold. The way we would go about that is that it is kind of the seller's responsibility to pay that final bill. And if it is not paid and the buyer calls us, GM will pay that bill. However, we will try to collect that from the seller. And if they're not willing to pay it, we do put them in collections. Not many title companies do pay the bill. They kind of just say, that's between the buyer and seller and the transaction's closed. However, GM doesn't think that's fair necessarily to the buyer. I know if I had a water sewer bill that, wasn't my bill, I would be mad about it. So we do pay that, but we do expect the seller to reimburse us. Are there any questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then finally over to Gina Legeza with America's Preferred Home Warranty. Gina, where are you?
Here I am. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Just wanted to go over how our home warranty program can help you in your deal with your clients. I've been getting a lot of calls, Michael, about can you put a warranty on after closing? So if your client has changed their mind in the last week or two, please give me a call. I will be helpful to be able to get your client, get real estate pricing and make you look like the hero. I want to thank everybody for a fantastic 2021, looking forward to 2022. And with that in mind, warranties can really help be the glue to the deal. Our program can help provide thousands of dollars in financial assistance to alleviate the burden and the risk. Our E&O carrier has reminded us that it really eliminates the risk and keeps agents, keeps clients even out of legal. So this is a huge thing we're going to be going into in 2022, eliminating the risk. Not only helping your client alleviate the financial burden, but eliminating the risk. There's all kinds of litigious claims coming up, and just want to protect you guys. So make sure that you're offering the warranty and that your client is signing the waiver if they don't want it. We have a program called Client Secure that will help cover 75% of your E&O deductible up to $3,750. So very, very important that we're offering it. If they don't want it, have your client sign the waiver. As always, thank you guys for your business. And if you don't have any questions, looking forward to working with everybody in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. We're looking forward to working with you in another great year. So thank you very much. All right, guys, it's time we roll into the main event. If you were just showing up because it's what you do every Tuesday and you don't know what we're talking about this week, you're in for a treat. And if you were here for Jason, Lindsay, and Scott, then you know what a treat you are in for. So if we could, let's go ahead and spotlight Mr. Jason Baran, Mr. Scott Carpenter, and Mrs. Linzie Potoczak. So as we were going through the roles, looking at some year-end stuff and where did everybody shake out, we saw quite a few people grew their businesses last year. I would say the majority of agents had the opportunity and took advantage of it to grow their business, but these three did some really, really big growth, leaps and bounds. And so we thought, hey, why not get them all in the Zoom room together? Let's have a conversation about what was it that was the change for them? What did they do differently? How did they do it? Who helped them? Just mind for some best practices here. But before we dive into that, not everybody has the distinct pleasure of knowing you all as well as I do. So, Jason, we're going to start with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the business, what markets do you work, and what brought you to a career in real estate?
Yeah, sure. Good question. Good morning, everybody. Always happy to join and impart any small amount of wisdom I can do. So for me, I joined real estate in 2015, so going on about 6 years in the biz. Would love to say it was some big, well thought out plan, but truthfully, it was I got laid off my previous job, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? And real estate was the opportunity. So before this, I was in retail banking for about 10 years, branch manager, most recently PNC, and yeah, that's me, and that's my background.
I love that. Lindsay, how about you?
I got licensed in 2018, so I'm about 3.5 years in right now. I previously was in retail management, most recently in a role with high-end designer. But my entire career pretty much was retail management. Getting into real estate, kind of the same, wasn't necessarily the plan, but when I started just kind of thinking about careers, wanted to, start a family, didn't exactly want to stay into the retail world of working tons of nights and weekends and missing out on all the, family stuff. I decided to kind of take an alternative route, started thinking about real estate. I had always been into homes, properties, interior design, things like that. My dad actually, his entire career was in commercial real estate. So runs in the family just a little bit. So kind of chatted with him, thought about, great transition of working in retail, loved the one-on-one with the clients, the clientele. And I figured that this would be a good route to go. And I've loved it ever since I made the change.
I love that. And Mr. Scott Carpenter, what's your former life and what brought you to this one?
Well, I have a variety of former lives. The fact is that this is not my first rodeo. I'm 59 years old, and I got into this business actually because I wanted to take care of my dad, my aging dad, and realized that the kind of work that I had been doing, which was all I was working on my own, developing small museum projects across Northeast Ohio, and chasing business all the time, doing these small projects was very, very difficult. And to take care of my dad, I was going to need more time. So I was looking for the death and taxes opportunity. And a friend said, "Hey, what about real estate?" And I said, yes. I had been developing small museum projects. I had renovated buildings, renovated houses. I knew a lot about this industry, but only from the edges. And this person introduced me to Keller Williams, and here I am. I got my license in 19. In June of 19, and I sold a couple of houses. As I'd like to tell Michael Boych, our coach here at Keller Williams, I told Mike, I said, "Mike, I'm not going to be able to start my business up, like crazy here, because I've got a whole bunch of things I got to take care of before I can do that." And so I actually didn't really get going until just before the pandemic hit in January, and got into Bold, which I loved. And then from there, it's just been, growing the business, learning the business.
That's awesome. And was one of your previous lives, were you like a Head and Shoulders ad guy? Like, is that what you?
Yeah,
were?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no, this has all come to me lately. But before I actually did some really cool stuff. I used to do all of the illustrations and box designs for Great Lakes Brewing Company back in the in the 90s and into the early 2000s. Oh, I did all kinds of stuff. So
that's awesome, man. Well, you certainly are doing all kinds of stuff with your business as well. Question for all of you, answer however you please. Going from 2020 to 2021, I know a couple of crazy years, couple of different, but all of your businesses grew. I think, anywhere from 100% to 200% last year. And, was there a specific change at 300% for Scott? Thank you for keeping me honest there. Was there a change in mindset? Was there a change in behavior? Was there, if you look back and you say, man, it was really when I started thinking this way or behaving this way or talking to these people, what was it? So, same question for all of you, but just fire away.
I can go
I'm
first.
gonna just go ahead.
I knew that was going to happen.
So I paused for a second. No one talked. So for me, I think, I have a toddler at home, for those of you that don't know. And so I'm, I consider myself full-time, but also full-time mom, full-time real estate. So for me, I think my biggest change for 2021 was my time management and using my calendar. This is something that prior to 2021, I mean, I hate the word try, but I would try. And it ended up that I was just I felt like winging it every day. And we all know that doesn't really end well when trying to run your own business. So for me, when it came down to 2021 and, trying to get things, moving a little bit in the direction that I wanted to go, I knew that something definitely had to change in that area. So focusing on keeping my calendar, making a schedule, a daily schedule that worked for me and worked for, my little toddler at home. Was a huge change for me because I was just much more productive, which, working smarter, not harder was something that I really focused on and definitely gave me the time, the energy, work more efficiently, to be able to run my business. And that in itself made a huge difference for myself. Instead of, I felt like I was just spinning in circles. And then on top of that, I feel like, my mindset, as we know, 2020 2021 especially, especially if you're working on with both buyers and sellers, but especially buyers, we know, and I know this is something we might get into, but it can be a really discouraging market, especially if you're on the buy side. And, I had a lot of buyers I was working with, and I'm like, all right, if I can't find a house for these buyers, like, I can't, I'm not going to sell anything. So, I just was, my mindset definitely needed to change, because I felt like I was just, in that little bit of a slump, and I just, focused on my mindset, the positivity, and that rolled into also, the mindset of my buyers, and definitely made a huge change in my business, going forward for sure.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, there are some things we're going to circle back on there. Jason, Scott, what about you guys?
Go ahead, Jason.
First off, I wasn't told there's gonna be so much great hair in this Zoom call, so I feel a little underprepared that way. So for me, the biggest breakthrough, I think, is, especially if we've been doing this for a couple of years, I think sometimes we tend to fall into like seeing ourselves a certain way. So over the last couple of years, I kind of, like, in my own mind, I thought, I'm primarily a buyer's agent. I'm primarily in a certain lane as far as average sales price. Generally speaking, around 150 was my average. So this year I had a couple breakthroughs that way. I had a couple sales that were more in the next tier up, and for whatever reason, it clicked in my mind. I'm like, this isn't all that much different. I think we build it up in our mind like, oh, $400,000 sale is completely different than $150,000 sale, and the reality is it's totally the same. It's just what you build up in your mind and what you tell yourself you can and can't do. So to me, that was a big confidence builder and really helped me out that way. And then secondarily, to piggyback on what Lindsay said, the buying experience can be quite frustrating. We all remember back to March and April, where going to open houses and there's 25 people traipsing through the open house, and you're not even getting responses when you put an offer in. So my ratio between buyers and sellers evened out quite a bit more. So again, back to that, how you see yourself every day and what you're capable of, doing a better mix of sellers versus buyers really helped me kind of see myself more in that light and continue to pursue that avenue.
That's awesome.
Since just getting I'm learning from these on this panel already today, because Lindsay and Jason are things that I'm thinking about, maybe not acting on. Calendar, for example. I have a calendar. I have my time block for but that we can.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, we're I don't know if your AirPods or battery's dying, but you're coming in really choppy for us.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's.
Hear me now?
I think so. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So there we go. So the big thing that I did in 2020 was I joined MAPS coaching, and I did the breakthrough program. I'm still in breakthrough, and with it comes a tremendous amount of mindset training, as well as script practice and dialogue. I'm really into script mastery. I am very focused on the MREA and the models and systems. I am very focused on listings. I did not suffer the problems that that Jason and Lindsay apparently suffered in March, because I was selling houses. And when I did end up with buyers, it was because I was selling their house. So, it's been I've had a different road in that respect. And also, I think one of probably the most important thing is mindset. And knowing, like Jason was saying, there's really no difference between that 150. Hell, I've sold houses for $67,000, and I've got a listing coming for $415. I don't care. I don't care how much what its price is. I was on the hook for a $1 million listing. I didn't get it because of an attorney, but but the bottom line is that I don't worry about, I am really all about mindset, right? Get your mindset right, do your lead gen, do your script practice. Believe me, that's changed my life in the last year and a half, and come from that that position, like, I'm going to help people. That's what I'm in the business of doing.
That's awesome. Script practice is it's uncomfortable until it all of a sudden, it becomes it's like you're conditioning for any sport, right?
When I get off this phone call, I've got a weekly script practice that I do with my team of coaching students with maps, and I just love it. It's a fantastic time. I learn a lot, not just about how to speak, how to work with people, but also about the industry. And so it's a really cool, I really like it. I think it's a really cool, really important part of what we do, script mastery. That's awesome. Yeah, and I want to circle back to that with you. I want to pop over to back over to Jason for a second, just because, I know I see your smiling face in the office from time to time, and when you're here, you're working the room like you'd expect any realtor to do. But how does being in the office, or for some people it's hey, I can't get there or whatever, but you seem to prioritize it. What is being in the office and being around other people? How does that impact your mindset, your mood, your motivation? Why do you prioritize that?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just to see you, Mike, you and your dapper, debonair self. For me, it's funny because everybody's trending towards work from home, and nobody's going to the office anymore, and I'm kind of like a salmon swimming upstream and going the other direction. So it's to me, like, being at home there's too many distractions. It's so easy to, I don't know, the dog barks at a squirrel, and then you're running that way, yelling at your dog, and then all of a sudden you forgot about lead generation or something like that. So to me, it's really getting to a different space, whether it's coming to the office and whether it's going to a coffee shop or whatever it is, like, I just need to be in a different space, and something in my brain just clicks and says it's time to do work. When I'm at home, it just doesn't hit that same way. So yeah, that's mostly it. I mean, I like seeing people in the office. I like seeing people grinding and working at their business. It's inspiring to see other people kind of struggle along with you. So I do enjoy that environment.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to it where if you're in a room where everybody else is working, you might as well just do some work too, right? But if you're you got the dog there, you throw the ball with it for half an hour. Yeah, I mean, that certainly sounds better than cold calling or dealing with a title issue or whatever. Yeah, so I love that. I love that. And it does it, and it allows you to compartmentalize, like, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do this for these hours, because I'm looking across the screen and I see people who I know could work 12 hours uninterrupted if you let them. And sometimes condensing it helps too. Come into the office, do your thing, get out of Dodge. Lindsay, circling back to something you talked about. So you work the Lakewood market, the West Side market, all the cool, hip, trendy places. And so, we talk about the market being hot. Like, I think the average offers on a property in Lakewood was north of 25 at some point last year. So when you're in multiples, you're really in it. But you got stuff done. So you mentioned mindset. Is there anything else that you prepped your client? I mean, this is gonna be the spring market, guys.
Right.
Inventory's flat starting in January. We're probably getting more coming on the market this spring than we did last spring, but we're not hitting 10,000 homes on the market come April. How did you get it done last year?
Yeah, so a couple things. One thing that was very helpful to me, we had a market meeting last year where there was actually a panel on, same thing as this, we talked about, winning in the competitive market, and listened to some agents and got some great tips along the way. And I think one of the biggest ones that, I mean, not that I didn't do this before, but I think I just definitely stepped it up, is building a really strong rapport with the agent on the opposite side is huge. I myself, I worked with a lot of buyers this year, but I also increased my listing business quite significantly this year, which was great. So was able to be on both sides, but, being on the opposite side and on the list side, and experiencing, and not to, talk ill, I guess, of other agents in this business, but, you have a lot of agents out there that shockingly really make no effort to build any sort of rapport, or unfortunately maybe don't build a very nice relationship at all, especially when they're going to bat for their buyers when we're in multiple. So that to me is something that I recognize just as a huge opportunity, as far as when you're writing an offer on a property that has 20 plus offers. I mean, it's just, that's a lot to go up against. And being in a good place with the list agent, asking them, what is it that the seller is looking for? Is there, a title company that, maybe the sellers are under contract on their next home, they want to keep it within that title company, whatever it might be. Not that we don't love to use GM title here, obviously, but building rapport with the other side is huge, and definitely won me a lot of deals. When I would ask them, what is it that, our offer stood out, they'd say, well, to be honest with you, we had some offers that were really close to yours, maybe even offers that were better than ours, but they'd tell me, your attention to letting me know that you're going to get this deal done, you were very, significant, or, brought to attention a lot of things, and was really dialed down when I wrote the offer too. When I submit offers, I, in my email, give a summary of what's within the offer. So, being on the other side of an, deal where I've had, 35 offers come in on my listing, it's a lot to go through and a lot of paperwork to go through. And it definitely helps, to make it as easy as possible for the list agent. And I think that they recognize that and appreciate that. So that in itself was huge for me to, be able to win in multiples for sure. And then outside of that too, just talking to my buyers, and obviously I want them to trust me. I want them to, feel that obviously I'm going to bat for them. So anything that I can do as far as writing the absolute strongest offer coming right out of the gate is huge. So, and I think, other agents recognize that. So number one, act quickly when something hits the market. And if they know they want to write, I don't care if it's, we saw the house at 7 p.m. I'm writing that offer that night and getting it to them, whether it's, midnight, whatever it is, just to show that my buyer is very, very serious about that house. And, I give them all their options. We know that, appraisal gaps were huge in this market. And that's something that if the buyer is willing and able, that's, something we focused on, just different pieces and different terms within the contract. If I was able to utilize those to help make our offer more attractive to the seller, then that's what we did. So I laid all the options on the table for my buyer. Here are things we can do to make our offer more attractive to the seller. And what is it that you feel comfortable with and will want to do when we submit the offer to make it the strongest?
I love that. If you can't make it hard for him to say no, make it easy for him to say yes, right? Be first, be aggressive. That is very, very sound. And then, Scott, I want to circle back with you on MAPS coaching. This is something that I think we've heard about from some other people who are in mastery level coaching, and it seems so far away and this and that, but you're involved with Breakthrough. So first tell us a little bit more about what that format looks like. Right. And then tell us a little bit more just about, some of the tumblers that fell into place or the ahas that have happened in the last 12 months.
Right. Well, let me just say that the reason I got into it was because of Bold. I actually purchased, I forget how much time it was, but I purchased some MAPS coaching as a part of a raffle that we did at Bold. And that was the intro. And then with the pandemic, Gary Keller started the Breakthrough program. And at the time it was a half off. Now it's $450 a month. And in my particular case, I get 2 half-hour coaching sessions a month at a minimum. I can ask for more if I need more. We have weekly calls on top of that with everything from, like I said earlier, the script practicing that we do, as well as meetings of all of the agents that are in the group around topics. And so I'm meeting with agents from across the country, top agents in areas across the country, learning from them on top of my coaching experience with the individual coach himself. And it's really, it's accountability. I'm talking to people daily, doing script practice on a daily basis, and we talk about the market, what's happening in the market, there, here, what are they doing to respond, how are they shifting, and we do script practice, and I do that every single day practically. And so for me, it was just when you were talking to Jason about being in the office, that was so important to me during the pandemic, man, because it was like, that's how I could be in the office. I could be with other people, but I wasn't, and I was, coming into these sessions as well until I couldn't because it was interrupting my lead gen. But anyhow, the point is that it was super, super helpful. And the guy that I'm working with Maps really matches you to somebody who fits you just perfectly. And in that respect, intellectually, we're on the same plane. He's a multi-million-dollar agent himself, but now he's just a Maps coach, and he's just a phenomenal guy. And I really, really appreciate KW for this program. It's making this life happen, this life by design. It really is. It's helping me make my life by design.
That is awesome and so great to hear. And I'm never going to fault you for plugs on Bold too, and how you got there. I want to stay with you for a second, Scott, as we move into the next sort of round robin question. Did you deploy? Let's get a little bit more granular, a little bit more tactical.
Okay.
Anything you deployed this year? And I think you did the golden letter, but was it golden letter? Was it care calls? Did you really lean into open houses? What was it that you were like, this was my moneymaker this year?
All right. Let's just jump into it. The calls. Okay. You got to call your SOI. That's half of the deals. Okay. Door knocking. I got 6 deals out of door knocking. While I only did 1 deal with the golden letter, I have a number of people lined up because of the golden letter for this year. So they're in my pipeline, and I know I will get a paycheck from them. Okay. I got a lot of leads through open houses, even though I only did 1 deal so far from open houses. Last year, I have a number of leads again that will be paychecks this year because of open houses. And then 1 cold call where I had a lead, where I got a call, made a call and someone had a house to sell. Wow. And I'm off. And right now I'm continuing to do the golden letter. Door knocking is number 1 for me. I just love it. It's turned up an awful lot of like I said, 6 plus deals. I love door knocking, and now I'm doing expireds and FSBOs. I woke up on January 1st and contacted over 100 people on January 1st for expireds, and I started doing expireds in December, and actually I love it. I know this is business. There are paychecks in there, and I'm gonna go get them. They're kind of fun. I mean, if you know your scripts, they're fun, And I've gone out on appointments, and I will be getting listings. By the way, I'm a listing agent, and if I have buyers, it's because I've listed their house. That's my plan.
I love manifest that, man. Manifest that. Well, you know, I want to highlight something you said for everybody in the mix here, because you know, while open houses only brought you one deal, or golden letters only brought you one deal, and I understand if you're newer in the business, or if it's, you know, you're kind of have a deal gap at the moment, it's the pipeline, right? If you got to feed that pipeline full of leads and full of future business, and those activities, you know, it's like, you know, we always joke, it's like people send one round of postcards, they don't get a deal, so they stop doing it. And it's like, you know, it's all of consistency is the key here.
It's not a system unless you keep doing it. It's a system if you keep doing it, right?
Right.
And
real quick,
by the way, I use command. I use command, and I use it religiously. I can see where my paychecks are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I put them into opportunities, and I know that those are the people that I need to follow up with, obviously. Yeah. And I continually add to that pipeline in opportunities so that I can see where those next paychecks are coming from.
I love that. Question in the chat, just quickly, like, what's the script? What's the process for a door knock? What do you do?
Well, it depends on the situation, but typically it's, you know, I'm circle prospecting. I have a listing that I am working on, and I'm actually looking for more listings, right? But in that particular case, I just go around the neighborhood letting everybody know that I have a listing in the neighborhood. And on the back side of that listing, I show all the other houses that I've sold in the neighborhood. And then in some cases, I'm walking around effectively with a golden letter saying that I have buyers looking for homes in your neighborhood. And I'm wondering if you're interested in selling. And I've gotten listings from those, you know, walked up to people in their driveways. Oh yeah, I'd love to sell my house. What is it worth? And so, hey, the point is that if you're not knocking, if you're not asking, you're not going to get the listing. Some other agent is, right?
That's right. That's right. I love that. I'll throw it over to you, Lindsay. Anything from a practical or tactical standpoint that you did differently at the granular level that you feel yielding for your business?
Yeah, so this year, I mean, my entire business comes from either referrals or sphere of influence. So I, you know, went back to, I mean, you talked about building a pipeline. So focused on building my pipeline, you know, went back to previous sales that I had and just, you know, followed up with them within my database. And, you know, who do you know that's looking to, you know, buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And I got a lot of referrals from previous sales. I also, now that I've, you know, entered into my, you know, now that I'm in my third year, believe it or not, I already have people looking to, you know, I had a couple sales that I sold them a house, then they needed to sell and buy new. So, you know, that I've seen that start to turn as well already. So previous clients, you know, looking either for their next home. I had a few clients that I had helped buy their primary residence, but then we're looking to invest. So really dialing down on my sphere of influence, my database, definitely helped to bring me additional business this year.
I love that, right? Focused, you know, if you've got a well producing water, keep going to it. That's brilliant. And then JB, what do you got, man? What was your tactical switch?
I don't know. Lindsay and Scott are killing it. I'm not sure if I have too much to add here, but yeah, I guess the thing I love about jumping on these calls is it kind of like, I call it like forced self-reflection, you know, so it makes me look back and kind of evaluate things. So the theme that came up for me is a lifetime value of a client or of a customer. So, you know, what am I doing to not only capitalize on short term, but what can I do to, you know, make this be something that benefits everybody for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So it never ceases to amaze me. Like, I'm sure everybody's kind of experienced this, but you know, you get a call from a past client and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then da, 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 da. And then the first question out of their mind is no matter what is, "Are you still in real estate?" You're like, "Yeah, of course I'm still in real estate." But like from their side of the table, whether it's just, you know, they know it's an industry that turns over quite a bit, you know. So how can I affect that? So a couple tools that I use is I use a service called Client Giant, and literally it's a white label service that once a quarter it sends out gifts and it brands to my name. And by far, I've probably got like, you know, 20 people on this. You know, it's the most response I get to anything that I do as far as like client follow-up. As soon as I send out a gift, it's 5 text messages to my phone like, "Oh my God, that's that diffuser you sent me is so great," or "Oh my God, that candle," or whatever, you know. And it seems trivial to me, but to me that's top of mind, and that lets them know you're still in the business. So I definitely utilize that service. One thing that Scott said earlier kind of stuck in my mind too is like not overlooking small opportunities. So I look back at my production, and there was a good chunk, maybe 25-30% of things that started out very, very small, you know. So maybe it was a renter that I placed, you know, in a rental listing, and then all of a sudden you stay in touch with them. A year later, they're buying a duplex in Lakewood for $250,000, you know. And I think as we're in this business for a long time, we can get in that mindset where we overlook those opportunities, and we're like, "Oh, that's just it's just a rental, you know, what can that do for me?" Or, "Oh, that's just a $95,000 bungalow," you know. And if you zoom out a lot and you kind of say, "Okay, that's a starting point. If I do my job and I stay in touch with these people, you know, ultimately that could end up being worth, you know, $20, $30, $40,000 in gross income over the course of, you know, the next 5-10 years." So just not being presumptive about what an opportunity is in the present, and thinking about what it could be over the long term.
Yeah, that is that lifetime value of a customer. And when you understand from a NAR statistics standpoint, yeah, it's all there in the MREA.
Yep.
89% of clients say that they would use the same realtor again, and only 12% do. And it's not because there's some, you know, new big you know, the new big game in town, right? It's not because somebody else has gobbled up all the business. We just stopped talking to them. And it's you know, it's a consistency's key, right? I love that. And I will I'm gonna have to check out Client Giant. That might be a way for me to remember to send people birthday gifts. Let's talk 2022 goals to bring it home. All right, so you guys are coming off big years. You got your sights set on 2022. Go in whatever order you want. Who's going to be bold and share their goal for this year, rather?
Yeah, this year. So my goal is going to be 10,700,000 volume, and my GCI is 332,000.
Woo!
Hello.
That's bold.
That is bold. That is bold. We're gonna love helping you get there, man. Anybody want to bat after Babe Ruth here? What's going on?
I can go. So my goal is, to be honest with you, I did do business planning, and after how my year finished out, I am reassessing a little bit and increasing my goal, which is, nice. I'm sure you'll be happy to hear. So my goal is now going to be 8 million for the year.
8 million. I love that. Huge. Okay. Huge.
Wow. Tough acts to follow here. I want to be a little more modest, but I want to be 6 million, and I want at least 50% of my deal flow to be on the listing side, and not necessarily a numerical goal, but you know, just to be kind to everybody. You know, there's a lot of frayed nerves out there, and there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. So I think if we can be professionals and we can be empathetic, back to the lifetime value thing, if we can be the calm in the storm and kind of be that person that's professional, I think that's going to go a long way to distinguish ourselves over the long run.
I love that. I love that. It's a good reminder for all of us, especially as we sit on the cusp of what will inevitably be another very busy, very tense, very stressful time for our clients, buyers and sellers alike. I mean, you know, the world is happening to a lot of people, not necessarily for a lot of people, and we want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position to, I like the way you said, be the calm in the storm. That's huge.
Awesome.
So, guys, thank you all so much. This has been a joy. I've got a pile of notes myself. You're incredible. Now that I know your goals, expect me to be following up with you about them and holding you in reality around them. No, but cannot thank you enough. This has been a really, really tremendous session. Could you do me a favor before we sign off? Drop your information in the chat box. I'm sure that there are people who want to follow up with you guys, even just to say thank you or to share an aha. And for anybody on this call, if you would, please give them some love. And if you are like, wow, that thing that you said about multiple offers, or man, that mindset that you said, or being in the office, or the golden letter, whatever it is, our company operates on an open and flat and abundant model for relationships in this community. I always say that we have a system for coaching, but we have a culture for mentorship. And so if you guys need anything, I am just going to go ahead and offer Jason, Scott, and Lindsay up to help you. All right, guys, I'm going to let, we're going to play this out, grab information out of the chat box, throw more love in the chat box, hang out and listen to some tunes. The rest of the day is yours. And thank you for a very great sales meeting. Have a wonderful week, guys.